All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to COVID Fall 2020. A big, huge thank you guys for being willing to do this with us in a new and interesting version, but that is going to be a really awesome offering for the kids who are going to participate. They have not had the best of things to look forward to, and I'm certain that each of them are looking forward to what you guys are going to bring to the field. So I'm excited for that. Um, okay, the why are you working this session? Dan, that's all you, buddy. I'll unmute you. I told it to ask you to unmute you. There you go.
I was saying sorry and I was talking to nobody. Okay. So you guys are working obviously because you put down your availability, but everybody here is a veteran staff member. You guys have worked with us before, and based on good recommendations from your site managers and past work experience, we're very excited to have you guys helping us out and continuing to work with us this season. So thank you again, just like Jamie said, for joining us this fall. It might be a little different with COVID, but it's going to be a good time.
Absolutely. Go ahead. You want to keep going over our fall program format of the?
Yeah, sure. So the format is going to be a bit different than what everybody is used to. Right now, there's no sort of game play that can happen. So right now, it's just going to be practice style, no games, no scrimmages. It's the exact same thing that we're doing in Albuquerque. It's just a time for the kids to come out and work on skills and drills through time of practice. Each session is about an hour and 15 minutes long. We have 3 locations this season. We don't have Chino Hills in our upland locations. We are just going to have Rancho Garcia Park on Saturdays. Ontario Christian Elementary School. It is important to note that it is the elementary school that we're going to be at, not the high school, and that's also on Saturdays. And then Eastvale on Sundays. And if you guys have seen the schedule, you know where you are placed at, so definitely look at that again. The format of kind of the roster sizes is 10-1. So that's what we are supposed to follow for the practices. All rosters are set at a max of 10. I think that there's probably in total across 3 locations, I would say maybe under 10 teams that are actually maxed out at 10 players. Most are probably at an average of like 6 to 7, maybe 8. But the highest we can go for the ratio is 10. And with the ratio of 1 volunteer coach, team parent, I should say, helping out. And that kind of jumps into what your role is going to be this season is, for those of you who are used to being a referee, there's no games to ref, obviously. But your role is going to be more of a kind of head instructor coach on the field. And Roger, you're more than welcome to jump in at any time you want to. I'm going to go through things here. And I'll let you guys know, too, we do have a couple Albuquerque folks that are joining us in who have kind of been doing this. We've got Jessica and Brandon and Tony. In a little bit here, we'll have them just talk about how their roles have changed a bit as a site manager and as officials who are more taking on a coach role. But your responsibility this season is to be a head instructor. You're going to demonstrate drills, illustrate drills and activities for the kids and the volunteer coaches and team parents that are on the field with you. So for example, just to kind of
into like super details of your entire job description after this overview.
Yeah, exactly. So just to give you guys a little brief, just picture of it before we really dive into it is, let's say we have a soccer field and we have 2 rosters on the field, each on half of it. Just to give you an idea of it, you guys will be centered in the middle of the field to start, and you'll have a practice plan, and you'll show each group what drill you're going to be doing. And each team we're working on it is going to have a team volunteer parent or coach that's going to be there to kind of be an assistant to you, where you show the groups the drill, and then the team parent can re-illustrate it for the kids, and then they'll start running through it, and you kind of will go back and forth with each one. Go ahead, Roger.
One thing that works really well, because on opening day, you're going to pass out the I9 Sports shirts. So it's not going to be jerseys this time around. We have participant shirts, and that's going to help teams not to scrimmage, because right now we're not allowed to scrimmage. or play games. So that's why we're going in with shirts. But once the shirts are passed out, you got the player labels done, you want the coaches to look to you to start the stretches. So if you start the stretching period off really good, everything else is going to fall into place. But you really have to take the bull by the horns on this one and lead by example. You can't have a passive role. It's just not going to work. Your coaches it'll be unorganized. So they're going to depend on you to lead them through the activities. And it starts with stretching.
Because they've never seen, obviously, how to do sports and COVID. So you literally have to tell them exactly how this is going to go. And I'll show you what different, some of the information they're going to receive, but we'll also go through a full job description for you guys. Go ahead, Dan, where were you at with that?
Okay. So yeah, so just like Roger said, you know, it starts from the minute you give all the shirts out, you just have to get everybody rolling. And you guys are going to have some coaches that are comfortable just doing it on their own. I know there are some veteran coaches at Rancho Garcia Park for football that they're going to be just fine running a normal practice, just as long as they stick to their timings and they're making sure, because we have put the practice plans together to where the drills are, to the most part, socially distanced themselves for the players too. So that's just a thing you'll have to keep an eye on with the coaches who don't really need your assistance out there. But you want to be proactive in demonstrating the drills effectively and assisting the team parents. And I will tell you, and our Albuquerque staff will probably let you know this too, as I've had to, you know, remind them a couple times, is they really, really, really appreciate having you there to give them guidance, because some of these team parents are stepping up to do this because they know they're there to kind of be an assistant with you, so that when they know that you are there to guide them and help them, it helps them feel more comfortable. But be a leader every single day you're out there on the field, and take ownership of your field and court. Be active, helpful, and confident. And the big thing too that's going to make this the easiest is just have fun with it, because you guys don't have to worry about officiating games and getting yelled at for kids stepping out of bounds or dropping the ball or doing a handball. You're there to have fun and interact with the kids and basically be a fun coach and teacher for them. So have fun with it. One thing that's very important, this happened for us, especially with our spring session in Albuquerque. I don't know actually from our fall staff in Albuquerque right now what it was like, but on the first day, but you might have some teams that have players that don't show up, especially with this being the first session for California. You might have to combine some groups together. You might have a group, I'll tell you, before in Albuquerque, our previous ratio was 5-1, and we would have a team of just one kid or two kids show up, or three, whatever. And sometimes our staff were combining 3 little groups together into one just to make it so they could do something out there together, you know. So that's one thing just to try and be proactive and look at. I don't think you guys are going to have that much of an issue. After moving our locations and sending out communications, we haven't had that many people back out. I think it's going to be, I think people want to play. So I don't think there will be too much of that, but just know that when you get out there, if you're on your soccer, your basketball court or football field, and you see that you've maybe got a group of 3 compared to a group of 5, well, you can combine them together because you have the ratio of 10-1 to follow. And one thing that I'll do for you guys next week is I'm going to send you guys a list of what teams are on your fields throughout your day. So if you're, let's say, a soccer referee at Ontario Christian, you'll be able to see each time slot which teams are on your field and if they have a team volunteer or not already. I'm going to send you a whole list just to look at to prepare yourself going into the weekend. So it is important to read that. You'll want to look at that and just help you be prepared for what's to come, and make yourself aware of everything. And I do want to, we have a point ahead, but right now I actually kind of want to bring in our Albuquerque staff to have them talk about their experience, how their role has changed. I think first, Tony, let's just start with you as a site manager. Just basically talk about how things have been going for you. This is your 3rd season now in a COVID environment. So just let us hear how it's been for you and what's kind of changed.
Sure. So I was not a site manager prior to COVID. So all of my site manager experiences through the COVID and through observation of other site managers.
You should say how long
Some of
you've
the-
been with us, though.
How long have you been here in Albuquerque?
Almost 10 years, or over 9 years.
Almost 10 years.
Okay.
Almost 10 years.
Okay.
So I met Roger at the state fair prior to his very first winter season here, and I refereed football the very first season, and I've been with him ever since. For the first 7 years, it was just the winter season, but for the last 3 years or so, I've been doing every season, and Saturday and Sunday if they let me. So I've been with I-9 for a while now. It's very different as a site manager, and it's very different with COVID. A lot of the questions are different. We know that we send communications out. I know Roger, Janie, Dan sends communications out, and I know people don't read them. You are going to get tons of people saying, "What do you mean we're not playing a game?" And it's just a matter of explaining to them, hey, we're not allowed to. We want to play games too. As soon as we can, we will. We're hoping that, I tell them, we hope by the end of the season, we're going to be allowed to play competitive games. But in the meantime, we have restrictions that we need to follow, and we're going to practice skills and drills every week, and we're going to prepare them to play the game as soon as we're allowed. And I tell them that, and for the most part, I get very positive responses. They understand that it's out of our hands. The day-to-day work or the weekend work that's a little bit different is I'm sure you're going to go over this, Jamie, it's the sanitizing everything between the sessions. It's walking around, making sure people have, as a site manager and as a staff, making sure people have masks on, making sure that everybody is distancing. Those are things we didn't have to do prior to COVID. I don't want to step on toes because I know you guys are going to go over that stuff. But those are the big differences right now as a site manager, and from what I observed previous site managers from having to do, is just making sure we're enforcing all the COVID rules and answering the questions that pertain to that, being prepared for the questions, and being excited. Be excited that the kids have the opportunity to come back and do something. It's been, you guys said 4 months, since you got even longer, since they've been able to do anything. It's having that level of excitement, a degree of excitement when you talk to each and every kid and all the parents, if they're getting to come out and doing something different instead of being in front of the TV and playing video games all day. They're getting to see new people or different people, and they're getting to get out and talk and communicate and interact with people on a live basis is really important. So I'll stop there.
Cool.
I mean,
And
absolutely.
Tony, we'll leave you still unmuted, but Jessica, Brandon, you can unmute yourself, or Jamie, if you want to unmute it for them.
They did it.
I'm pretty good at this. We're teachers, so we're used to this.
Perfect.
So we actually started with I-9 3 years ago as just parents to a child who played. So I knew what it was like as a parent who was a spectator, and I got to see kind of a little bit of the daily workings. And then with the whole COVID thing, that's kind of how we got involved with working with I-9, because one, our experience as teachers really kind of helps, I think, has been able to ease some fears and understanding with our parents and even with our kids. And so as a person working the fields, I can't stress enough, like, talking to the parents. I'm generally the one who I'm like the little Energizer bunny, I guess. I'm the one running around talking to all the parents, making sure everybody has shirts, everybody is good to go, problems are solved. And that is super, super crucial, because all it takes is one miscommunication to throw everything off. And if you're excited, the kids are excited. And if the kids are excited, the parents are thrilled. And so that's been like a huge thing, a huge, huge thing for us. When we talk 5-to-1, I know Dan said to really kind of talk about 5-to-1 a little bit. That was really rough for us. I can't tell you how many teams we combined at the different locations that we worked at. And that was really challenging at first. But in our first week of 10-to-1, it seems to work out a lot better. And, it encourages parents. You just keep telling them, like, we're one step closer to being back to games. We're one step closer. Like, we couldn't play, and now we're here. And when they're like, well, it's just practice, remind them of how much better those games are going to be when they finally do get to, be in a competition style. I can say, like, as a parent who also went to another company, Yeah, you guys can hate me for it. I played devil's advocate. I went to another company for a short time and let my daughter play soccer for another company. And you know what I-9 is doing is just phenomenal because that group can't play. And we're getting a lot of kids from that group who are coming in. And the parents are so thankful that I-9 is able to do this because their local groups can't play. And they weren't equipped or willing to adapt to the changing times. So we've had our fair share of parent complaints, and Dan has been amazing. Like, hey, address this. Cool. We've got this. We'll smooth it over. No, you know, but I think the one advantage that we have is that we're teachers. So I'm not scared to use my teacher voice, and we just get out there and have fun, like run the drill with them. You know, the kids always like beating me in certain drills. I'm like, you guys run way faster than me. And then they're like, let's test it out. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then they see it. So if you have fun, they'll have fun. Parents will be happy.
And there's
just
so
'cause
many
there's no
ways
game-
to make drills into little contests that don't involve, you know, everybody being on top of each other.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, sorry,
Well,
Brandon.
that's what I was just gonna say is, like, I mean, I know a lot of you are coaches. I coach baseball and I coach basketball at the high school level, and a lot of the ways, like, you don't play games in practice to get better. You do drills to get better, and so you can make little mini games with the drills, and the kids just love it. They don't. The kids don't complain that they're not playing a game because they don't even realize it because they're just having so much fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like I can say, Saturday we finally went 10-1, and I was on T-ball, and I was working like that little 9 target thing with the 9 holes. It's like a tic-tac-toe. I was rolling the ball and working it, and then finally went to the hitting it. And the kids, like, I was like, oh my God, we actually almost got a baseball play. Like, the kids, like, fielded the ball through to first, and the parents were, like, screaming, cheering. And I'm like, it wasn't even a game. It was just literally, like, working a drill. And the parents were screaming because it was, like, an actual baseball play that happened. And, you know, T-ball, normally it's like the ball's going to go. There's going to be 6 kids that try to pile on it. And then they would hold the ball and run around with it up in the air. But it was like, we actually had a baseball play that happened because of the drills. And parents are screaming. Kids are stoked. It's like they had no idea they didn't play a game because they had so much fun. And just so build a game into the drills. Hey, you know, this is 1 point, this is 2 points. And then the kids are like, oh, I did the best in this drill. It's like, it doesn't mean anything, but neither do the games in the long run. And so the kids have a blast. And then, like she said, just talk to the parents. Walk around. I know Tony does a good job, but I also just make sure to walk around and address every parent and say, like, hey, you know, if you need to scream, yell, shout at me, just go ahead. My ego's fragile, but I can handle it if you need to. So just joking with them, be human. And the people are there that want to be there.
Yeah.
They're not there to, like, yell at you guys and hate on you guys for it. They're there because they want to be there. So just show that you're there for them and you're there for the kid. And then you got the parents on your side, and then things go well.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to say, in addition to all that, was for optics, we're going to have sanitation buckets out there with hand sanitizer.
We're going to go over all that.
Well,
Pictures too.
okay. I'm going to finish my thought.
Yeah.
I want to make sure before anything starts that everyone gets at least 1 squirt of hand sanitizer before we start. And then if you want to have good practice at the end of the day, everyone gets a squirt. So before and after activities, that we're going to make sure we have plenty of hand sanitizer. I'd like for us to get in the habit to do that every single week.
It's part of the job description we'll go over too, that it's required. I know that there's here it's something we're really trying to get more ingrained, but starting you guys off on the right foot. Now that we're 3 seasons into this, we know for a fact that parents are looking for that. We weren't sure at first. They are looking for that. What were you going to say, Dan?
I was just, before I let our Albuquerque folks go, I did just want to ask them just to give some pointers to the staff. So Jessica and Brandon, just to help these guys out, what are your kind of steps or tactics that you do to get your groups started? You know, I know for you guys, Jessica, you've had at times, so I'll let you guys know, in Albuquerque, the most teams that we've had on a field is we've taken like a soccer field, for example, and have split it into 4 quadrants where we have 4 teams coming at a time to do a practice within their quadrant. You guys in California, the most you'll have, I believe, is just 3. But Jessica, and Brandon too, either of you can chime in. How do you go with getting each group started? Can you just kind of let them go over that for them?
So it's pretty much making a spot where you can be visible. So, like, put yourself in the middle and just start stretching and just have the kid, like, you model it and then they model it after you. Like, you're essentially like a step ahead. So it's just kind of like shouting, using, as she said, our teacher voice, and just kind of getting it going that way. Or if you have a veteran coach, be like, hey, this is what we're doing today. You got it? Like, okay, cool. Let me go focus on the less veteran coach. Like, kind of, you can also gauge it that way. Okay, you've been here like 6 years. You know everything. Cool. I'm going to go to these guys who don't have it. But
Also for those groups that have like a coach assigned, like, yeah, you do want to make sure you help them. That is very, very crucial. At the same time, you'll get those coaches who are like, well, I've coached soccer before, maybe not for I-9, but I've done it before, and they don't necessarily want your assistance. But always making sure you check in with them before you do anything, because some of them maybe they didn't read the practice plan. Maybe they read the practice plan and they want to switch it up just a little bit because of the level of their players.
Maybe they
So
forgot to read the very important steps of asking their team if their parents had already checked their temperatures and are all below 100.4.
Exactly. And so it's always checking in, like making sure they're okay. I know we've gotten out there and coached with them, and my next suggestion would be like stretch with them, do the drill with them. Like, don't just model it, but do it with them. Get out there and don't be scared to what in the term of a kid, don't be scared to let them break your ankles. You know, where they do this move and you just kind of get tripped up. Like, don't be scared, because it makes them feel good. It gets them excited to do it again. So don't be scared to get out there and do it with them, because then 1, they're going to improve, 2, they're going to enjoy, and 3, parents are going to be thrilled. And this past week, what I started doing is for our students here in Albuquerque, everything, I don't know about California, we're all virtual learning unless your kids go to like Rio Rancho Public Schools, which is a city nearby. And so I always tell them, hey, when you see your PE teacher on Monday, you can tell them, I did this many jumping jacks and I ran these drills for soccer or for basketball or for football. So then, you know, it gets them excited, because most of these kids are doing PE on a computer, which consists of dancing or maybe some jumping jacks or maybe some stretches or watching a video. So then it gets the parents to be like, oh yeah, don't forget to tell your PE teacher that you were out on the field doing this today. So I get to throw that little education piece in there, be like, hey, go tell your PE teacher, this is what I learned how to do today. So
Then my last quick thing I want you guys to chime in about is, for those rosters that don't have a team parent helping out yet, what have you done to get somebody to step up?
bribery is the key to all success. I bribe my parents, I butter them up, I let them know that they are not alone and how excited their kid would be to have them on that field. And several parents were like, I know nothing about it. And I always tell them, I just want you to put on this shiny red shirt and you just encourage them and I'll help you with the drills. And 9 times out of 10, I've got a parent putting on a red coach shirt going, okay, now what do I do again? And you just get out on that field and play with them. And it makes the parent more confident and the kids love it. And it works really well with your peewee kids and your little ones, because oftentimes they don't want to separate from mom and dad. So you get a parent out there and that helps get that kid more involved.
what I've done is I'm like, okay, cool, but I just need someone to like, I'll do the coaching. Can you just help me run this drill? Like, so, cause I, split the kids up or whatever. And then at least a site we have, it's Ventana Ranch. I know I did that for the first 2 weeks. And then the dad at the end, like, hey man, can I just coach this team now? Like, can I just do this? And so then you don't have to, like, so eventually you just kind of not trick him, but trick him into helping you. Just, no, I'll run the drills. I just need your support so that I can help monitor it. And then they eventually just like, yo, can I just take over? Can I get that shirt and just take over? That's how it's worked for me, at least, is just like Jamie has always said, just model it for me. Like, okay, cool, I'll be the coach, but I just need you to help me in this. And then they want to take over.
Because you guys are, unbeknownst to you, but also knowing that you, in this situation, are creating more coaches. So even more so than when we have gameplay, parents are getting a longer period of time to see how to execute being a coach successfully. And this is really only going to pay off for us and all of our sites and all of the kids in the long run, giving confidence to these parents who may have never even considered coaching and now think that they could do it.
And piggyback on that comment, how good of a job we do on a week to week and for a seasonal basis, it's going to benefit everyone here as well. Because if we do a good job A, we're going to get good Listen 360 scores, and B, they're going to want to come back. And if they're coming back, we're going to have larger seasons, longer days, and that's more hours for everybody.
And a bunch of people who know what they're doing because you've brought them through the program in the way it should be done. Absolutely.
I just
think-
can't stress enough. Have fun, guys. Just have fun. Like, how often do you get to get out there and like goof off like a goofy little kid and have fun? Like, the world is tricky and dark and gray and morbid and all just
Yeah.
bunched up ugly feelings. Oh, very nice. Sorry, we're watching the hockey game too.
Yeah.
But now you get to get out there and have fun, and you get to laugh and you get to goof off. And at the end of the day, if Roger and Jamie said, and I'm not saying this to butter you up, I'm being completely honest. If you said, hey, we can't pay you this week, I'd still come out there. And here's why: because I have fun. My kids have fun. My parents are happy. And what more do I need?
It's
What
awesome.
more do I need?
In that thread,
So,
keep going, Tony, and I'll add to that.
okay, so just so I can, from a site manager perspective, communication. You talk to the parents, you tell them what you need, you tell them why you need it, and you tell them that they have the support of a Jessica and a Brandon and everybody else you have. I know with the smaller locations that you have, that everybody on this call are the top-notch people for Roger and Jamie. So they have, I know there's other Jessicas and Brandons who, by the way, are awesome, and I appreciate very much. I know there's other ones on this call that can do that demonstration. I have a couple of younger staff that are a little nervous approaching the parents, and I tell them how much it's going to make their job easier if they can get a parent to come out and help. And like Brandon said, tell the parent, hey, I'll do the coaching, you mirror me, and you help me make sure the kids are mirroring. And in no time at all, you can step back, and the coaches or the parents will be coaching and doing it, and you're there for support. And that's the other thing, is communication and support. That covers it all, and you can get all the parents you need to help.
Right? The more work we put into opening days, every time you put everything you've got into an opening day, the rest of your season is that much better and that much easier. And out of these last 3 COVID seasons, I've seen more participants feed off the emotions of our staff than I've ever seen in the 9 years that we've been doing this. That what you put out, you get right back. You know, because they're not having games, they're not looking to their coach for how are we going to react to this? They're really looking to you guys for how are we going to do this? How are we going to feel about this? And completely mirroring the behaviors. I've seen parents get upset because one of our staff has mentioned, I know it's a real big bummer that we can't do games, you know, hopefully. No, the way that Tony and Jessica and Brandon were describing it, what you give, you shall receive right back. And I've never seen it mirror like this until COVID. I think is that good for our New Mexico staff if they want to hop off? You're
Thank
welcome
you,
to stay
guys.
and listen, though, of course. But we really appreciate you guys coming on here.
Thank you, Brandon,
Yes.
Tony, Jessica. Appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Guys, good luck and have fun.
It's worth it for
Absolutely.
the kids. Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thank
you.
you. Good evening. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
All right, let's keep going. Do you want to go into the section 6, Dan, or do you want me to jump into the presentation part?
I think you could. We pretty much covered this stuff through it.
Okay.
Just, you know, you guys too, just to help you be prepared each week, we'll send practice plans out in the weekly schedule email too. So you guys will have those before you even get to the fields. They'll be there at the fields for you, but you guys will have those in advance. And
I
yeah,
would
just
say-
have it just like they said.
When
Go
you
ahead.
look at those practice plans, if there's a drill that you want to replace, come prepared.
Yeah.
Think of 2 or 3, maybe even 4 drills in addition to what the practice plans. Just come prepared, and it's going to help you out.
Or hop on YouTube, because now not only is there all the drills that were ever on YouTube before, there's now COVID friendly drills. I mean, we know because we're part of the groups that have added to the plethora of videos of how to do sports while in COVID, right? So YouTube is your friend.
This past weekend, I was out helping out with football, and there was a team that didn't have a coach. So and that was a Pee Wee team. So I ran that one and helped out the other groups, but it was really helpful to come prepared with at least 8, 9 drills. Even though I didn't get to them all, I had those to refer to, and I just made it fun for those kids. And then the next session we had seniors, and it completely different between Pee-wees and seniors. So when it came to seniors, I ran that like it was a camp or clinic, and probably had one game in the middle with one of our activities. But for the most part, it was drill work, and it worked out fine. No kids at any point felt like they were missing. And I think the parents really appreciated what we came and brought to the table, because it was a really organized and it was good.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and we'll go through, just kind of a top to bottom look at this.
I think we got about 20 minutes. I was just going to show you a timer I have.
Well, can we go ahead and share screen for,
Yeah, let me go.
thank
Share
you.
screen
And then I want to go to PowerPoint.
and then share.
Okay, let's do, I don't think anyone cares if we're in presenter view or not, so we won't. You move that mouse around while I talk about what we've
Okay.
got going on here. Okay, this is just an overview for you of one of the locations. This is the Ontario Christian Elementary, right?
Correct.
Okay, Ontario Christian Elementary, just to give you a good description of what's going to look different. You're going to see that you're sent a whole bunch more tall cones where you see that orange line, so that you make a real clear distinction between the two teams on a field, so that they stay socially distanced from each other, and it's very clear which section is theirs. And that will be listed A and B for the most part on little labeled cones. Then you've got social distancing signs that tell everybody to stay 6 feet apart. I'll show you what those look like in a little bit, but they're all over the field. Optics is the key here, right? And I'll show you also what our sanitation buckets look like that'll hold the disinfectant spray, the red towel, and the hand sanitizer in each one of those that you'll use before and in between each time slot. Any questions on this map, what you see there? I just wanted you to have an idea of how we're going to be divided up, how separated we're going to be, and sending people straight to their fields. We'll go over what's going to be in the coaching packets as well, more than usual, so that they don't have to go check in, and that their bag of jerseys and that envelope's going to be ready to go on the field. You all will be part of making sure that that time slot stuff is ready to go with their practice items. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide.
And can I make one note on the
Yeah.
fields there?
Yeah.
So some of those say 2 soccer teams and 2 football teams. There are some locations that will have 3 football teams or 3 soccer teams on your field, which basically means you'll make it more into quadrants on the field instead of it being half the field.
Exactly. Okay, so Dan is also going to send this to you guys via email, which is your job checklist. And also, I'll show you whenever we're not sharing screen and I'm on a bigger screen, unless you guys already have me in a little tiny screen. I'll hold this up really close. We're going to make these little cards that are called job cheat sheets. If you have ever used any of the other job cheat sheets for sports specific, we're making them exactly the same, where it's double-sided card reminding you from top to bottom what your job looks like. So it starts with a health check and asserting that you are not showing signs of COVID, that you've not traveled to a high COVID area within the past week. Your temperature is taken by the site manager. You guys are the only people taking live temperatures. Everybody else at the field is going to assert, that their parent, and then the coach is going to ask them if they're, hey parents, did you guys take everybody's temperatures? That's up to them, because temperatures are better at home when it comes to the kiddos. We're required to live take and ask you guys those questions when it comes to employees. And then don't forget to wear your face mask or face shield. All adults are required to wear face mask, face shield. Coaches, you guys, spectators, we will have a box of those paper masks too available. Should you need to use the sly reminder of someone that's not wearing a face mask, you can get one from the table or tent and say, hey, I grabbed a face mask for you, free of charge. I don't know if you forgot yours. You know, you can think of what your line is that's more fitting for yourself. Okay, you're going to get your first time slot practice plan ready on your phone. This says from the tent, but you guys are already used to being digital. It's because Albuquerque here, they're so used to paper, but you guys will be digital. But you will be getting the coach check-in sheet, or your site manager will be responsible for coming to you to make sure that you checked in your coaches so that they can mark it off on the coach check-in sheet. And your first week practice plan on paper will be in the big coaches packet. So if you're the one coaching that team and there's no parent helper, you can get the practice plan right out of that packet. It'll already be ready to go in there. All right. You'll set out your 4 spaces or your 2 spaces, however many groups are on that field, by those tall cones like we talked about. You'll make sure that your field sign is posted and that you're identifying cones of A, B, C, or D, or just A and B, or A, B, C. I think Dan said the highest you go is A, B, C. That those are labeled where parents can clearly see it and go straight to their field. Your coach's bag for week 1 would need to be in that space. Your discs, your goals, your balls, and we'll go over a couple new items that we've added for you guys to have really successful practices, called Quarterback Pro for football and soccer agility poles for soccer. As each family comes to the field, you're going to make certain they stay socially distanced in their family unit on the sidelines. And we're not saying be super anal retentive. We're saying you can see the obvious ones when there's huge clustering of people, and that's what we can't have. Our basic rule is that they need to be 12 feet off of the sideline and 6 feet apart when it comes to sitting down or putting out their chairs. Guys, I need you to be quiet. Sorry about that. All right. You'll verify with each coach. This is when you're starting to get going, right? When you're running the field. We'll show you a picture of the bullhorns. We also ordered bullhorns if it's easier for you to not have to yell and waste your voice. We've got bullhorns that'll be available to you if that helps. But you're going to verify each coach that they already checked with the families, that they asserted about the temperature. We talked about that. You're going to verify that the coach is ready to go with their practice plan, which is in that packet. I'll go over exactly everything that's in that packet with you. And then on subsequent weeks, you'd be checking that they already have their medal or stickers. If not, you'd get an emergency backup one from the tent, because we're going to give them all the medals and stickers on week 1 in that packet to reduce the amount of exposure and people grouping at the tent every week. You're going to remind everybody, no handshakes, hugs, or fist bumps. We're just keeping our spacing. You're going to have all 4 groups or 2 groups, 3 groups. Remind them to go over their sportsmanship lesson. If you're the one being the coach, you're going over the sportsmanship lesson. And then you're going to run the stretching period before. Even if you're more comfortable running the stretching period to establish the fact that you're running that field and then go into the sportsmanship lesson, that's fine too. Just make sure that those 2 things get done. And then you will run the 1-hour skills and drills conditioning. Fun, we've said it, focus on fun, right? You'll have coaches that are ready to go and don't need you to run it, but you still have to be running it for anybody who is not ready to go. And let's say everybody on your field is good to go and is prepared, then now you can check the spacing of people. You can check in with every coach repeatedly to see if they need help and make sure they're staying socially distanced and not running scrimmages.
Our best instructors at this, when they're leading by example, they'll start out with the stretching in the center. And then when it comes to the drill work, they'll start with one group, with like group A, demonstrate that drill for group A and for B and C. So you'll run that for 5 or 6 minutes. And then when you go to the next drill, you move on from A to go over to B, right, and you demonstrate from B. And you just keep going around the circle, A, B, and C, throughout the whole practice. That way you're giving the coaches an opportunity.
Guys, quiet.
You're giving the coaches at each of those sections an opportunity to watch you as an instructor, but work with their group and not have to rely solely on you for everything as well. But at the same time, feel like they're getting the attention because you're making your round. It's all fair that way. So that's the best practice.
Yep, absolutely. One thing we've learned is that it's good to announce a 10-minute wrap up, because a big point in all the states with youth sports and with kids and drop off and everything to do with COVID right now is that there not be overlap in people coming and going, and so that you have plenty of time for disinfecting. And when the time is up, you can ask everybody to stand up and clap for a great day, but we're not doing the usual parent tunnels. And remind them, of course, like usual, to take their trash. We haven't really had to, ask families to, let's go ahead, get off the field, quit chatting. They've been really good about ending and knowing that we can't have overlap and leaving, but it's fine if you have to ask families to exit the field so that you can sanitize equipment for the next group. And you yourself should always try to be separated at least 6 feet from any complete pod of 10 to 1. In other words, if they have a coach that's good to go and 10 kids good to go, then you yourself, even chatting with them, keep your distance. Then you won't be considered part of that pod should somebody test positive for COVID when it comes to tracing and quarantining. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm sure you guys have dealt with that in all different manners, hearing it with stories. All right, let's keep going. The job checklist for tent staff, that's who's gonna definitely, you'll do your health check. You'll make sure that the big bucket of wipes and that you have a hand sanitizer out and that you have spray disinfectant ready too, and that the buckets are ready to go to each field. And same as usual, preparing merchandise, less concessions than usual, and then any spare medals and stickers, that those are ready to go. Same, again, that's the same thing. We're not gonna require mouth guards until games are permitted, but we're not gonna highlight that either. We're not going to say, oh, mouth guards aren't permitted, so that we don't have a bunch of pushback, but we're not going to keep anybody from playing this season if they don't have mouth guards. You're going to make sure that the thermometer is ready to go for taking the temperatures for the rest of the staff, and you're going to help the site manager watch the time for the start of each time slot so that fields can be cleared and everything can be sanitized. And assist as much as you can in the sanitation efforts between time slots. And when time is up, if there's any families hanging out around your table, you can ask them to politely exit the field so you can sanitize for the next group. Again, it's all about having fun. Whoever empties any trash must wear gloves, okay? I'll make sure, write this down, Rich, if you don't have enough nitrile gloves so that I order it for you. You might, I just forgot to ask you, but gloves when it comes to handling any trash on the field or in bags or helping clean up. That's definitely a big, important COVID step to not miss. All right, let's keep going. All right, so the coach packet contents, I'm going to show you some of this. The week 1 practice plan, you guys know what practice plans look like already, I'm pretty certain, but the coach packet will have, it's the big, like 10 by 13 envelope with the team name on it and the team number. It'll have a nice practice plan ready to go on week 1, okay? Your sportsmanship lessons are different this season. They're not the usual routes because that is so focused on competition. We have gone to a more classic style of sportsmanship lesson that you'll see that is not focused on gameplay and competition. Things like positivity, listening, hustle. Those are the type of topics that you're gonna go over this season and award the sportsmanship value medals on, and they look like this, okay? Third, like I said, all medals for the season will be in that week 1 packet. If you are the head person and nobody steps up for the rest of the season, make certain that packet gets back to the tent so it can be packed up for the next week to come back to have your stuff in it. And again, Pee Wee stickers for the whole season will also be in that envelope. Player labels, as you know, they'll be in your week 1 envelope for each of the kids, either on the chest or on the back, whatever's easier for coaches to see if you're the coach. Then we've got the coaching checklist. It's not the little piece this season, it's a full sheet so that they could use it the whole season. It has week 1 opening day from top to bottom, for a coach that they can follow to know exactly how we're executing the day. And it even has for week 2 through 6, if they want to hold on to this, if they just go top to bottom, they will successfully get through the entire season. Dan, will you put in your notes to go ahead and include this in the email so that they don't have to listen to me read the whole thing right now? But that way you'll know what we've communicated to coaches. And if you need to refer to, on your coaching checklist, we did remind you such and such. I'd like you to please read through that when you get your email. And then the handbooks, okay? Right, I'll go over a couple things that are going to be different in the handbook this season, and it's required by, I'm assuming every state, because I had to do it for New Mexico, and it's the same requirements, regarding the CDC in California, and I'll show you some of those sheets. But it's things about how to prevent COVID, how to wash your hands, and how to recognize the symptoms. All right, let's keep going here. These kind of pages, straight from the CDC, will be in the handbooks, okay? Again, Dan, here's a third item I'd like you to include in the email so they don't have to read it all right now. I'll just hit a couple points on here. This that says safety precautions for fall are in the handbook and also being emailed to all the parents so that you're aware of what they've been told is different, and you don't have to be on the field wondering, well, because again, like Tony said, parents don't read, right? And you don't want to be in the situation, nobody told me that blah, blah, blah. So we want you to see exactly some of the stuff that we've definitely told them, so you don't get put into a weird situation where you could be wrong if you said, no, it was in your handbook and it was emailed to you. Things about all adults having to wear masks, about the temperatures, about time between time slots, that we have free face masks or face shields at the tent should someone say, well, I don't have a mask and I'm not going to buy one. Well, we have one for free. Using the restroom before they come, the whole 10 kids and no games, all that. We'll send that to you so you can read through it so you know what we've told parents. Okay. All right. So here's just a few pictures of some things that, like I said, is different. That's the types of boxes of masks that you'll.
I don't think we have them.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. There we
Yeah,
go.
that you'll see available at the field. And that is the type of bullhorn that we're making available, so you don't have to just sit and yell when you're trying to run a whole field at once. Those face shields, should you use or need a face shield, remember to take the peel off both sides and they won't fog up and you can see very clearly through them. Rich will tell me if I need to order more, if you guys like the face shields, most, or face masks most. And then of course the no touch temperature gun that'll be, at the desk or under the tent for taking your temperature when you show up to work. Okay, these are our socially distanced signs that you'll be putting out all over the place. Maintain 6 feet from sidelines and others. And then our return to play safety protocol, there's less of those, maybe like 1 per location compared to 15 to 20 of the socially distancing ones. The sanitation buckets are these bright blue buckets that we got from Lowe's that say on the back, like, do it right. And then inside is going to be a foaming hand sanitizer pumps. That's what you guys are going to use when it comes to, before you start each of your groups, offer that hand sanitizer up. It really, really is optics because we can't facilitate hand washing stations. And then that disinfectant spray. Go ahead before
I was gonna say, it's appreciated by parents too, to see that we're going through and taking the efforts to make sure that their kids are safe. It puts them at ease and makes them that much more comfortable during these times.
Yes, and the type of disinfectant spray is a EPA certified COVID killing disinfectant that'll be out there for you guys, and you will be spraying everything that's been touched during that past time slot. You'll have the wipe there, but the wipe isn't required. Sometimes you'll spray an area and you just feel better if you use the wipe because you got everything, and other people feel confident in how they've sprayed everything. So the wiping isn't required if you've sprayed it and let it sit in between the time slots. That's the key there, right? Is don't just, that's why it's not paper towels. The goal is not to just wipe it off. And sanitizing, the stuff you just sprayed on needs to have a chance to kill what it's killing. So, Here are 2 new practice items you guys are going to see to enhance your practices and make it very clear that that's what we're doing compared to games. Roger, you want to go over these 2 fun items?
Sure. The green upright poles, this is for soccer. Each pod will have 4 of these. And I'd like for you to line these up in a straight line with about, I don't know, a yard spacing to let coaches know that they can utilize those to do snake drills. But encourage all your coaches to use these throughout their practices. It's just really good references for the kids. So another drill for soccer, you could have 2 of these and you have 2 lines of kids, maybe kid right here, and you're just passing through gates. And you start with a wide gate for the little kids, and then you make it a little more challenging and walk these things in, and then it's a narrow gate. That's a really fun activity for the kids. On the football side, obviously the X, Y, Z is pretty self-explanatory, but the top is really cool too. This is a bucket drill where you're working on your touch throws. So I'll have some stuff teed up for you guys throughout the season on how to use this beyond the obvious. But when you think about like our passing tree, you could have, if you're a coach by yourself, you could set up a drill where you have one set of your team, like half your team throwing to this, which is a similar route. Let's say if you're doing a curl route, and then on the other half, you could actually have the live drill. And so it's just a good resource to use. I wouldn't suggest rolling it around. I know that it has casters. You're going to put it in one spot and pretty much go from there.
Okay. All right. So here's some pictures we have from the success we're experiencing executing this version in New Mexico. You've got our staff there with their masks on. Kids here are required or highly, highly recommended. It says in some spots, required, it says in others to wear masks. And then you see, that was a good picture. You can see him spraying that cone. That's what your cones will look like that have the letters on it for your, the letter marking on your field. And then up at the top, you see, you know, Shawanda with her face shield spraying everything in the vicinity. Okay, you want to unshare the. Awesome. One thing I don't know if we said yet is that it is a 30-minute block between time slots to do the disinfecting. So don't think that you're trying to execute that in the same time you usually experience. It's actually a really great feeling to see them exit, clean your stuff, regather for the next group, and then start again. Dan, through all that, is there anything else you thought that we need to go over before we let anybody ask questions? Or
I think you got it. I'm going to, tomorrow, guys, I will send, I know I said you'd get it next week, but I will send you guys, everybody's going to get this presentation that's recorded, but I will also send the slides of stuff from the presentation. Jamie, you wanted me to send the safety precautions list. I'll send you the coach checklist and your job requirements. I was going to send that next week, but I'll send that to you guys tomorrow so you can have that sooner than next week.
awesome. So at this time, anybody who needs to bail, we totally understand. We took up an hour of your time.
Oh.
Anyone who wants to stay on, let's go ahead, Rich.
Before they go, everybody needs to understand is that you have to start checking your email daily for this. There is going to be a lot of stuff sent out, and if you're, you know, I know everybody, some people don't check their emails for a week or two. This season, you're going to have to check them daily, and the same thing with text messages, because I've sent out text messages to people, and I haven't gotten any responses. When I text you, you need to respond to me. We did the same thing, is that we had to chase some people down to find out if they wanted to work. When we send this stuff out, you guys have got to send it back to us. You know, we're not going to keep chasing employees.
Please.
I don't mean to be mean about it, but it's a lot of time and effort. I have sent text out to people to find out if they wanted to work after Dan had already sent you, you know, the paperwork for, are you interested? Are you still available? You guys have got to learn. You have to fill that out. It's your employment. We're the employees. You want the job, you got to do part of it. So
Absolutely.
Keep looking at your emails on a daily basis and respond to your text message.
And especially because
And I'll see you on Saturday.
we're getting ready for a season, so you're going to get in the habit of responding to your site manager as far as checking in midway through the week and on the day of. So let's get back into that habit and routine. Someone sends you a text message, thumbs up, some form of acknowledgement goes a long
Yeah.
ways.
If we've learned anything through doing this during COVID, it's that things can change daily. We've had to move entire locations to other parks so that we could keep going, you know, due to a COVID regulation that changed from the county overnight. So yeah, you want to be on top of the communications because we're going to get this done. It's what we do, right? And we're all sports people, so we're already resilient, and it's what we're going to do. Anybody have any other questions? Curiosities?
If you need to text me with questions, you can do that. Everybody's got my number.
And you'll see Rich on Saturday, right, Rich?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, we really appreciate you guys very much. We know you're going to do awesome, and we know you all have some of the best engagement and attitudes for these kids, and they can't wait to see you. And one other point I wanted to make is don't be shocked if you catch a parent or a kid crying out of just happiness to be there. That happened in multiple occasions for not just me, chatting with a parent or a kid that just kind of, you know, had a sense of normalcy for a minute. So be ready for that. They're going to be happy to be there.
And I'm planning on being there, so I will see you guys, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yep. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
I got a horse race to go to.
There you go. Thank you, everybody.
I gotta go see a man about a horse. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you later.
Bye, guys.